get your money, don't care who judge. Stay out the way, surround yourself with nothing but love. Stay out the way, if you a gangster, killer or thug. Stay out the way, put your faith in the man above. Stay out the way, chill with your family, siblings and blood. Stay out the way, kick it with your girl, forget hit in the club. Stay out the way, mind on your money, ain't no switching it up. Stay out the way, stand out the way, what you thought that it was. Stay out the way. If you stuck down on your luck, not feeling righteous, did a petty crime, just looking for some excitement. Now your name on affidavits and court indictments, get paid for a lot, but your freedom is priceless. You did the crime, you do the time, don't let it surprise you. Real stories from the heart, just to open your eyes up.
Part 2 gang, y'all. Let's get it, y'all. Part 2 gang, y'all. Let's get it. Like, shit, y'all. Let's get it. Let's go. It's crazy, man. Dude was like, yeah, man, old head Lewis be hustling too. Yeah, he be hustling too. So we about to leave out. My roommate was like, well, hold on, wait. So what he be selling then? Cause you know we ain't got no la or nothing like that. We selling drinks. That's what we selling. So the dude was like, I think he be selling that too. He like, what? I'm like, yeah, I think he be selling that too. He just left out. So I'm like, man, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? So my roommate was like, man, I don't care, man, who he is, man. As long as he don't get in our way, bro. Like, you know, we gonna do us like we been doing. Like, he was like, look at my box, please. I was like, bro, I'm happy for you, bro. Like, I'm happy you can eat whatever you want now, bro. Like, it wasn't wild to watch him reach a level of something that, you know, he never had before. Like, you know, I done had a box full of stuff. It's really nothing once you get it, you know what I mean? But like, he was really happy about where he made it to, you know what I mean? My roommate, like, he was super duper happy, man. So like, he didn't let that discourage him, or, you know what I mean? Like, throw him off his track, what was going on. He dipped back out and started making his moves. So I stayed in the cell for a while. You know what I mean? I stayed in the cell for a while. They called outside rec. So when they called outside rec, I went outside, man. I went to go holler at Baldhead. So Baldhead is a 70 builder. So like, you know, I went outside, kick it with him for a minute. It wasn't too hot, you know what I mean? Too cold. I think it was like October, November, one of them days. So I went outside to holler at bro. We out there on the fence. So as we on the fence, I looked up, old head and went past us. Like, I wasn't even thinking about when he went past. I was like, hey, yo, bro. Hey, look. Well, he ain't just in y'all building. He was like, who dude right there? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, yeah. He was just in our building. I was like, why they move him to our pod then? He was like, I don't know, bro. He was like, you know, niggas saying goddamn, he's supposed to have the lady, you know what I mean? The old head sergeant jank, you know what I mean? He was like, but, you know, I don't think they locked him up. They weren't trying to lock him up for it. Like, they just moved him, you know what I mean? He was like, because goddamn, old head be goddamn getting everything, bro. He was like, that nigga be selling every goddamn thing. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, he sell whatever the block likes, that's what he'll get the lady to bring in. He was like, goddamn, that nigga was selling tattoo ink. He was like, that nigga was selling motherfucking goddamn Lala if he wanted to. He was like, when the Sabasi scripts first hit, he was like, he was pumping them janks, you know what I mean? He was like, whatever's booming, that it's a lot going on with it. He said he'll mess with that hustle. He was like, he really don't really do nothing. He was like, he don't mess with nothing. You know what I mean? He was like, he don't do no Lala, he don't do nothing. He was like, all he do is get to the money and mess with that lady. So I'm like, that's crazy though, man. I was like, man, for real? He was like, yeah. He was like, man, I'm telling you, man. He said he wanted my part. He was in 72 part. And he was like, but, you know, he had 72 part on Smash, though. I'm going to let you know. So I'm like, man, you know, maybe it's a good thing that he's over here. You know what I mean? So when he moved in, there was already some dudes from Richmond that had the Lala. You know what I mean? So they had the Lala on Smash. I think they had bought a whole zip from the other side of the yard. So they had a bunch of it floating around. You know what I mean? You can go buy a Feezy if you wanted to. I had a little bit, not for sale. I had a little bit, but either way, it was just flooded with the Lala over there. You know what I mean? So like, I seen the old head. Like the old head, when he moved in, they moved him on the top tier, kind of like on the other side of me. He just used to come out and just stand in front of his door and just watch the pod, like just watch what was going on and just seeing everything that was happening and whatever the case. So now my roommate and his homeboy, the dude Tim, it's like they done stepped the game up now. Like when I say step the game up, like they have stepped the game up to the point where now they not even really selling the wine, you know what I mean? They are selling the clear, you know what I mean? He's selling straight clear game, like. And the dude, Tim, had it like real, like it was a business, like it was a real business going on because he had orders that he had to fulfill. So like he had no room for fumbling. He had no room to put stuff together and like just, and don't complete the mission because he would get paid ahead of time. So my roommate was so happy about that. Like, yo, like, cause he was the one that'll deliver everything. He was the one that would bring the plays and let my roommate, let the dude Tim know and they'll go from there. But like the whole time, man, like everybody's been dealing with them because they has been really consistent. They haven't been messing up no orders or nothing, and the clear has been the clear. So out of nowhere, man, like I don't know what had happened. man. But this is the first time some bad stuff has happened to the dude Tim. Now, you never gonna go flawless victory in there, especially when you a dude that make the wine. There's gonna be an idiot or two that's gonna try to shake your tree a little bit and try to tear you off, basically, man. So like, I don't know what had happened. We was in the cell. It was count time. You know what I mean? It was count time, and I looked up and I seen the police coming in. So by the time I got to the door, dudes were like, "The police here, police here." So everybody go to the door, but they going straight to the back. You know what I mean? So they go back. So I don't know where it was going, but I'm looking at dudes on the other side of the tier. They're looking down towards where the dude Tim Cell is at in the back handicap. So as they in the joint, I looked up. I just seen his roommate in the wheelchair come down. He went to the hot pot. So when I seen him wheeling his way to the hot pot, I knew that they was in their cell. So they in that joint like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Next thing you know, you see the COs come out like this. COs walking out with bags. Now, in Lawrenceville, they don't lock you up when you get knocked with a yak. They don't never lock you up when you get knocked with a yak, man. What they do is they'll embarrass you. They will take the yak, walk it outside the building, all the way to this big sewer drain that we have. Each building, I think, got it, or it's close to each building, whatever the case, but it's a big square sewer drain. They will walk it out there, and they'll just bust that joint. And they'll just pour all that joint out, man. That joint will be sitting all around by the sewer. And then the bugs and all of that just come eat all that sweet fruit up, you know, that base and all of that. They'll just come demolish that joint. By the time you wake up in the morning, you don't see nothing but freaking orange seeds. Like, you know, they gone. You know what I mean? So like, that's the embarrassment they do to you on Lawrenceville. So dudes is looking out the window from the other side like, yo, they busting his wine. So they like, shh. So my roommate standing in the door like this the whole time. My roommate like, he just looking stupid. He like, I was like, man, you'll be all right, man. I said, yo, bro, it's never gonna be flawless victory, bro. I said, you're gonna go through BS, bro. That's just how I go, Bobby, man. He was like, man, somebody hating on us, dude, man. I was like, make you say that? He was like, man, cuz they ain't been. I said, bro, listen, that man be in the cell with 5 gallons. I said, bro, it don't take nothing but a CO to smell it and don't rock with him or whatever the case. He was like, man, that's crazy, man. You know how much money that is, man. Now he gotta get dudes their money back. Now he like, man, he got $400 worth of orders. I'm like, shh. Now he gotta get dudes their money back. You know what I mean? Now he gotta get dudes their money back. So they finally take the wine. After they took all the wine, they let us out for Empire Rec. Everybody come back out. Tim come back out. Tim looking like he freaking lost his best friend. Like he never went through this. So Tim looking dumb sick. Tim like, it's like he couldn't help himself. He was like, everybody keep trying to talk to him. He said, hey, man, whoever did that, man, whoever hating on me, man, yeah, I got a trick for y'all. Yeah, watch. I got a trick for y'all. I ain't selling y'all nothing in this pod no more. Since somebody want to tell it, yeah, they said somebody told. Since somebody want to tell it, I ain't got nothing for nobody in this pod no more. Nobody. Watch. That's my word, Sean. I ain't selling nothing no more in this pod. He blacked out. Everybody was just like, what do you think? You never gonna get shut down? It happens, bro. So boom. What's the matter with you, man? Him and my roommate need to tighten up because you don't go through this without getting bothered, man. When you a winemaker, everybody knows this, man. You go through this stuff, man. You might even lose a lot trying to make this stuff, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand why he's blacking out like this in front of the whole pod, but he just blacking out. I looked up. I seen the old head dude, Lewis, who just moved in. He was just standing on his tail like this. He was like, he was just watching. Now the old head dude, Lewis, his roommate, I was jive cool with him, but still though, like we wasn't cool that I would go to his cell or nothing like that. But still though, we have done business together. You know, we'll holler at each other every now and then. He went from Norfolk, but me and him was still cool. So I don't know what he was in the room telling the old head dude Lewis, but I'm in the cell chilling a little bit after they done snapped out, made an announcement in the pod, telling me they ain't pumping nobody and none of that. A knock come at the door. I'm like, yo, it's the dude, Lewis' roommate. He walked in, he was like, hey, Weezy, what's up, bro? I was like, what's up? He was like, hey, look, man, look, between us, man. He was like, man, look, it's between us, man. I was like, what's up? He was like, man, my roommate can get some real liquor. He was like, man, dudes in 70 building in his pod, they won't even drink no more prison liquor. He was like, he can get the real liquor. I was like, the real liquor? He was like, yeah, they can get the real liquor. I was like, all right, so what's up? He was like, I mean, I'm just telling you because I know what Tim and them said, you know what I mean, your roommate and them saying they ain't selling nothing to nobody in here, you know what I mean? So like, for real, Weezy, man, like, you know, I don't really know nothing about it. So he say, like, if he holler at you, I told him I would holler at you, you know what I mean? Because he was like, he wants somebody to be able to sell it for him, you know what I mean? He was like, if he get the junk, will you sell it for him? I said, what I sell it for him? What do you mean when I sell it for him, bro? Like, what you talking about? He was like, I'm saying, like, you know, it's a few people that, you know, that might be a candidate, but like, you know, like Weezy, you know everybody though, Weezy, man, especially dudes from the other side. Like, you know, and then dudes in the pod, he was like, man, you can put your own price on it, or what you would sell, and still make what you gonna make. He was like, he just want a certain price for every bottle. So I'm like, for every bottle, he was like, man, look, man, the man can get whatever, man. I was like, so what's up with some Lala? He was like, nah, he ain't getting no Lala. He was like, he don't want to get no Lala over here. I was like, he don't want to get no Lala. I was like, man, look, I don't know, bro. I was like, because you know my roommate and them, they was getting money with the joint, you know what I mean? So I don't want to, like, I'm just, you know what I mean? I was like, I was like, I don't really need no money, bro. Like, I ain't messed up or nothing like that. He was like, man, I know. And like, I told him that, like, you ain't one of them dudes that need a job. I'm just telling them that, you know, you will be able to help them, you know what I mean? Move the stuff. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna see, bro. I was like, for real, bro. I said, if he get a bottle, I said, let me and him talk when he get a bottle. You know what I mean? I said, after that, then me and him have a conversation. You know what I mean? I said, other than that, we'll talk about it when it happens. He was like, all right, so you saying, I was like, yeah, if he get a bottle, tell him holler at me, then we, you know, we'll go from there. He was like, all right, man, appreciate that, Weezy, man. So he dipped out, y'all, so boom. So he was happy, man. But me, I was still skeptical because I don't know how this was gonna turn out. I don't know if this was just something that fell in my lap that was just this sweet, or this was gonna be something that was bad. I didn't know, man. Either way, I was willing to give it a shot. Not on them like I'm trying to do my roommate no dirty or nothing, because there's room for everybody to hustle anything, man. You know what I mean? It's 80 some people in the block. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna have some of the same stuff sooner or later when you hustling in the game in the prison. So I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance. You know what I mean? So waited for about 3 days. I would say about 3 days went by. My roommate and the dude Tim, they back on they, you know what I mean? They trying to pay dudes to buy fruit, and they back on their prison game. They back on the wine game. You hear me? They paying dudes to, hey, look, man, we get your orange, man. Hey, look, we get your apple. We get your orange, The kitchen worker ain't trying to get juices. You know, we get juices, or we either get orange juices or apple juices every morning in the little juice bag. We get juice bags in prison. They stopped giving out cartons. I don't know what other prisons was doing. Lawrenceville was giving you juice in a bag. Y'all ever seen juice in a bag? But that's what Lawrenceville was doing, giving you juice in a bag. It'll either be orange juice or be the apple juice. Matter of fact, the milk be in a bag. Yeah, everything be in a bag, liquid when it comes to when it comes to prison, man. That's my word. So dudes are bottles, apple juices or orange juices, because that goes with the wine. So that's what my roommate and them back on. They back on that time. I've seen them come in the room. We got 1,000 juices, 1,000 fruits. So he like, yeah, we about to get right back. We about to get right back in the game. We about to get right back in the game. I'm like, yeah, bro, get back in the game then. So as he was talking, all you heard was, I was like, yo. I was like, who that, bro? My roommate was like, who? Yo. My roommate, look. All you seen was an unfamiliar arm. The jump was like, my roommate was like, what's up? He was like, hey, Weezy in there? My roommate was like, yeah. He was like, hey, the dude out here, that new dude, he just moving in the block. I was like, yeah, all right, let him in, bro, let him in. My roommate was like, so he came in, he was like, what's up, man? I was like, what's up, man? Weezy, man. He was like, yeah, Lewis, man. I was like, what's good, man? So after we dapped up, it was like a slight pause. So my roommate was like, he was still moving around. He was at the sink. He was like, I was like, hey, bro, hey, let me holler at him right quick, bro. Let me holler at him right quick, Bobby. He was like, what? He walked out the joint. Dude, Lewis was like, yeah, man, I can sit down. I was like, yeah, go ahead and sit down. He sat on the box. I was right there. He was like, man, look, I know my roommate hollered at you. You know what I mean? He was like, you know, like, I'm the type of dude, man, like, you know, I don't really like my business out there too much, man. You know, dudes be hating, man. That's how they got me moved out of 70 building. But he was like, you know, I try to hustle stuff that's, you know what I mean, that's the main thing that's being hustled, you know what I mean? He was like, you know, I can get whatever, but he was like, you know, it's all the time, getting the hard little drugs ain't always good, you know what I mean? He was like, because I see that your roommate and them is winning off this wine, but he was like, you know, it ain't the wine, that prison wine shit, man. He was like, that shit don't do nothing but fuck your stomach up in a couple of days. He was like, I can get the real deal. And he said, matter of fact, I'm over here to let you taste the real deal. He was like, he went in his sweat pocket that was inside his other pants, he was like, he popped up with a bottle, and I looked at the joint, and the joint was brown, y'all. So boom, I was like, what's that, some iced tea? He was like, nah, this ain't no iced tea. This ain't no iced tea. He was like, you got a medicine cup? I was like, yeah. He was like, give it to me. I gave it to him. He was like, he poured that junk. As he poured it, that junk was like, I smelled yak. I was like, he was like, look, hit that. Drink it all too. I was like, drink it all? He was like, yeah, drink it all. I was like, it was like I couldn't go like the prison joints. The prison joints, I'd be like a real shot on the street, you know what I mean? But this joint, I was like, it kind of felt like, you know, when you drinking cough medicine and you be like, I'm about to knock this whole joint, you know, when you pour the cough medicine in the cap, that joint felt like, you know, I'm about to drink it all. That joint was like, that was it. He like, drink it. I said, and I was like, yo. I was like, yo. I said, what is this right here? He was like, tequila. You ain't never had tequila? I was like, man, what the fuck is a tequila? He was like, man, it's the shit they got now. Mexicans be drinking, man. They make that shit over there, man. He was like, that's that strong shit. Yeah, that's that strong shit. I was like, man, I don't know nothing about it. It's just Henny. That's all I know about is Henny. He was like, nah, this ain't no Henny. Nah, fuck that. This tequila. This tequila right here, man. I was like, tequila? Like, I felt so lost in the sauce. I felt like a nigga that was locked up forever, y'all. So, boom. I didn't even know what the fuck tequila was. I was like, tequila? He was like, yeah, there's some tequila right there. I was like, I said, yo, my chest burning, bro. He was like, yeah, that's what I wanted. I was like, God damn. I was like, yo, so how much one of them bottles go for? He was like, one of these bottles? I was like, yeah. He was like, shit, $250. I was like, God damn. That nigga want a price of a cell phone for a bottle of yak, y'all. So boom. I was like, God damn, $250? Even little cell phones a little bit more though. I'm like, what the? $250? He like, yeah. He was like, well, look though, you can do it like this. He said, man, look, you can break one bottle down. He said, man, you can sell one cap, which is a half a shot of what y'all pour in here for the wine. He said, you fill it up halfway with this. He said, each one of them joints go for $20. He said, you sell them joints for $20. He said, man, 3 dudes can sip on that joint and smoke a Feezy. They gonna be dumb lit. He said, that's what I was doing. I was a 72 part. So he said, look, I'll just break down, get massive commissary off one bottle, and the other bottles is just business. You know what I mean? So like, you gonna help me or what? I was like, yo, I might know some dudes on the other side of the yard. You know what I mean? I might know some dudes that's on the other side of the yard, bro, that'll cop that, bro. He was like, yeah, $250, man. Look, I saw how many bottles you got. He was like, look, all right, come to my room. I was like, all right, bro. He dipped out. I grabbed my shoes. I was like, I'm about to put out. As soon as I get ready to leave out of the room, my roommate was right there. You know, my roommate was like, I was like, bro, what you doing, bro? He was like, you smell like liquor. I was like, man, shh, chill out. He was like, you got some liquor? I was like, bro, chill, bro. Dipped past him, followed dude, went to the other side, went in his room. I walked in, old head, sell my word. Old head had 4 bottles sitting on the table, y'all. So boom. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's the same stuff right there. He was like, yeah. Yeah. I said, bro, how you get all that? He was like, look, don't worry about all that. This is what I'm saying, though. Look, $250 a bottle. $250 a bottle. Look, all I want is $150. You keep 100 off each bottle. It's 4 bottles. You make 400. You give me the rest. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah. I was like, that's what's up, man. He was like, look, don't forget this bottle right here that me and you was messing with. He said, just do all breakdown with that. Me and you split the breakdown. I was like, for real, man? He was like, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, man. I wanted to hug Unc, man. Like, I wanted to hug Unc for giving me an opportunity, y'all. So boom. Cause I'm about to slang and bang. The wine game, you hear me? The real yak. I'm like, this junk crazy, man. So he give me the bottle. You know what I mean? I get all the bottles. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? Before I was like, you know what? I ain't even taking all these bottles in the damn junk, man. I went down to my homeboy, said my homeboy sleep downstairs. He don't be bothering nobody, nice and quiet. He don't mess with the yak, la, the powder, the D-block. He don't do nothing but a roll up every blue moon. He do that when he do with me. He don't even mess with it like buying it or nothing like that. I said, I'm gonna go holler at him. I pull up on him. He was like, what's up? I was like, I get to holler at you. He was like, what's up? We're in his room. I said, yo, bro, look, I need you to hold these bottles for me right here. He was like, what's this? I was like, bro, don't worry about it. I said, look, just put it all the way in the back of your joint. You know what I mean? Keep some oil on your lamp and everything. He was like, yeah, I know it kind of stink a little bit. I was like, no, bro, look, let's make sure everything's straight with it though. You know what I mean? He was like, what is some wine? I was like, yeah, bro. He was like, ah. He's like, yeah, so we put it in the cut. You know what I mean? I dipped. Went back upstairs to my room. When I go back upstairs to my room, I walk in the joint. I was like, damn, man. I was like, shit. My roommate come in. I'm like, I look back. I'm like, bro, close the door, bro. Close the door. He was like, what you doing, Weezy? I was like, look, bro, chill, bro. He was like, what? I was like, taste this, bro. Gave him a little shot. He was like, what's this? I was like, man, just taste the shit, man. He was like, he said, man, Weezy, this some real liquor.
Get your money, don't care who judge. Stay out the way, surround yourself with nothing but love. Stay out the way if you a gangster, killer or thug. Stay out the way, put your faith in the man above. Stay out the way, chill with your family, siblings and blood. Stay out the way, kick it with your girl, forget hit in the club. Stay out the way, mind on your money, ain't no switching it up. Stay out the way, stand out the way, what you thought that it was. Stay out the way. If you stuck down on your luck, not feeling righteous, did a petty crime, just looking for some excitement. Now your name on affidavits and court indictments, get paid for a lot, but your freedom is priceless. You did the crime, you do the time, don't let it surprise you. Real stories from the heart, just to open your eyes up.